Having a pipeline that's double what your quota is, back in the days, that was good. 3x was critical, but now we need to do a lot more. But getting the deals in the pipeline is tough. And yes, we help you with that with our programs. But today, specifically on this podcast, we're going to give you some ideas that can help you to get that pipeline really, really good. And I'm not talking bloated with garbage. I'm talking about good. You're going to love this one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we're going to talk about simple ways and ideas of how you can build up a qualified sales pipeline. My guest today is someone that you all should connect with on LinkedIn. She is a sales leader. She is a sales professional. She is a passionate human being, and she may or may not have participated in some community opportunities when it comes to pageants. Just to get out there and help the community and help the world around her. She's just all around successful individual, and I want you to connect with her. You can find more information. Her name is Radhika Shukla. You can find more information again down below. You can check out her link to her LinkedIn. But Radhika and I, we had a conversation around pipeline development, especially as an enterprise level organization. How do you go about doing that in an effective way? What are some of the things that you can do to make sure you build pipe? She shares some ideas and some things that you could take advantage of no matter what size organization you come from. Now, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, the show is designed to help you to, one, build pipe and to convert a high percentage of that pipe. We want to give you and teach you ideas of how you can 3 to 5x your sales pipeline and also double the amount of deals that you're closing each month. Find more information down below. Now, as we dive into this episode today, I want you to be able to do a couple things for me. Write down something that jumps out to you. Share it with a team member because this stuff works. Let's go ahead and dive in. Radhika, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Donald.
I'm looking forward to talking to you. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser and some of the amazing things that you have done over your career and what you're, in how you work as not only as an individual contributor, but as a leader in many different in many different organizations. Today, I want to tap into some of your expertise when it comes towards building pipeline. It's something that many sales reps are doing, but we want to go back. Specifically, we know if you have only X amount if I have $100,000 pipeline, quota, and I have $100,000 in deals, I'm in trouble. We need to 3x that pipeline. But most salespeople don't know how to 3x their pipeline with quality opportunities. So I want to pick your brain on that to kind of learn what are some things that specifically you did and you've led your team to do over the years to be able to 3x their pipeline. So let's dive into that. I mean, are there maybe 3 main points you could think about that we can focus on today?
You should probably start early and start the planning process early. I've been guiding my teams to do that. And most of the times, especially at tech giants, when, you work for IBM, Google, or Microsoft, or these kind of companies don't have their quotas early on in the fiscal year. That's fine. Just start with whatever you know. You know your quotas are going to come in and they're going to be more than what it was last year. So I coach my teams to start early on and do big bet planning. And what big bet planning does for us is just identify the big bets that you have to win and what gets transacted through those big bets. Like, let's say if you have a cloud migration in place, or you are looking at winning a HPC deal or a modern work deal. These are some Microsoft terms I'm using. What gets transacted is your products and solutions. But start early on with identifying those big bets that you need to win. And then you can do a gap analysis later on when your quota lands, and you can see that, hey, this is my quota and this is what I have already in pipe. What more do I need to keep adding on? And that time, and I would encourage everybody to collaborate cross-functionally with different people in your org, be it your partners, be it your customer success people, be it your solution sellers, and have some prospecting techniques. And I can go deeper into that, but have some prospecting techniques in mind when you go after your target accounts.
Let's go back to that big bet planning. I like that. Walk me through, how do I do that? Because I love how you shared there. You gave a couple examples, but let's say, for instance, if I'm a salesperson, I'm selling software. Yeah, I'm in an enterprise level organization. You're saying the deals that maybe if I have big renewals, if I have maybe there are certain like deals that I may have carried over from last year. These are my big bets. If I close this, it's going to be a huge part. Is that what you're going back? Is that how you classify a big bet?
No, big bets could be renewals. That's I actually call renewals business as usual because
Okay.
that's happening in any case. So how are you, differentiating yourself as a seller from others if you're just closing business as usual? So renewals are a great way to close business, but it's identifying those um, new deals, those new leads,
Mm,
prospecting with different rooms of the house, talking to lines of business, talking to the CIO's office, of course, but talking to supply chain, talking to HR, talking to sales, marketing, different parts of the value chain, talking to the chief product officer, building your ideal customer profile. I have like a 7-step approach where I feel renewals are a no brainer. That's going to land
yeah.
in any case. How I actually hold my team accountable is that I look at those renewals and I see, okay, what's your revenue recapture rate? What are you going to cross sell and upsell through these renewals? But what's really important is how are you hunting for those new opportunities?
Yes.
How are you talking to new stakeholders? How are you building trust and credibility with these customers by remaining consistent, by in your approach and being persistent? I think those two words every seller will really realize that that's a part and parcel of their life.
Okay, so
So,
it's a new logos, new deals, new opportunities.
yeah,
And those are so the ones that are the ones that look good, the ones that it's almost like if I'm going to my planning stage, I see that there's these three accounts that I would love to land this year. Those are my big bets. They
yep.
have opportunities, they have like the triggers that we're looking for. They're in our right sweet spot. Those are my big bets, and then from there, after I do my big bet, then I start looking at some of the other planning means, and we're going to go to some of the process. Am I right on that side? Is that
Absolutely. And I think that I have a very methodical 7-step approach there when you're qualifying your leads because I've seen extraordinary sellers. They have a very systematic approach around it. It's not wishful thinking, it's not landing those opportunities by chance. There is nothing called chance. I mean, you have to really work hard to land those big opportunities and convert a lead into a deal. And it all starts with, if I can, lay it out,
please?
start with your ideal customer profile. But what I mean by that is you know who you're already talking to at a particular account. Now use that person, leverage that relationship, and try to get into the other rooms of the account. And to do that, you have to research the customer. So build that profile, understand the industry, the company size, demographics, pain points, lead with business outcomes. I think that's extremely important. And you hear me say that multiple times in several podcasts that this is more about business outcome selling. If you lead with product and price, you will inevitably fail. Then, second thing which is very important is effective questioning. Stay curious and active listening. Sellers jump to solutioning. That's a very commonly seen issue, and it complicates the whole thing because customers come to us and say, "Hey, your sellers are salesy in approach. They don't come across as trusted advisors. They don't come across as thought leaders." So it's very important to be situationally fluent and listen keenly, and provide insights to your customer, uncover their needs, strategic needs that they probably aren't even thinking about. How are you helping them think out of the box, understand their challenges and goals? Again, research helps a lot, but keen listening is very critical when you are a seller. Then qualification criteria. I think this is very important when you are qualifying a deal. Oftentimes, sellers are misled. They feel this is a big bet, and the deal keeps slipping several quarters only to find out later, much later, that, oh, this was never on the CIO's priority list. So it's very important to establish clear qualification criteria early on, and that could be factors like budget, timeline, need. But what I mean by need is compelling reason to buy, and why buy now. Timeline, if there's a partner aligned, bring them on early in the process. Two-way qualification is another step in this process, which means getting customer buy-in throughout the journey. It's not just in the discovery phase you talk to the customer and then jumped right in with solutioning. From the discovery and visioning all the way to onboarding, making sure you're providing your customer with transparent information about the product, the service, the implementation process, customer case studies where you've won a deal similar to this one that you're trying to approach, and this allows your customers to evaluate whether you really are bringing value to their organization. And then progression through the sales cycles. What that means is have a very structured approach to track your progress so that you have some KPIs that you are measuring against and making sure that every stage you're bringing in the right resources. There is a tangible outcome throughout each sales cycle, sales stage, sorry. And then, of course, data analysis helps sellers a lot. Sellers who are data driven and are leveraging all their, metrics and reports that organization offers to them. And some of these tech giants have great, dashboards that we can leverage. It helps us assess the health of our pipeline and understand where a customer is in their journey. So that's very important. And the last point is rigorous and regular pipeline review. When we do account planning, it's not a one time thing. It starts early on, and you need to keep revising it every 2 to 3 months. 2 months is ideal because customer priorities can change, additional perspectives can come along. They may have new challenges, they may be going through a reorg. So it's very important to keep that checkpoint going.
And I love all of these, and especially that continual checkpoint upon that pipeline. It's a fluid thing. Just like, I feel daily, we all know daily you need to consume water or you need to eat so your body can stay functioning. Having a stagnant pipeline and, assuming that you're good, you're not going to go like, 2-3 weeks without reviewing that pipeline. Same idea with your health or with your food. You need to make sure you're continually adding to it the proper nutrients. So I'm following the 7-step process. I have this down. This is helping me to be able to make sure I'm on the right path. One of the things that you mentioned in there, which I want to go deeper, and is another point that you kind of hit on before in our previous conversation, was about working with other organizations like partners or whatnot. How does that help? How did that help your team specifically 3x their sales pipeline, and why it's so critical for us to work with partners?
It is very critical to work with partners because they help us scale. It's not possible for you to be in every account talking to every stakeholders. So it's very important that partners come in and they complement your resource pool. They bring in the right resources, they bring in the right funding, they bring in the right competency. So engaging them early on is very important. And what they appreciate is that they bring you leads, but then there is bi-directional lead sharing, bi-directional opportunity sharing. So it's very important to identify the right partners. I think that's critical also. You just cannot bring in any partner because that's a problem also that we face, that every partner is trying to win your business and they're trying to sell to you. So sellers have to be very careful as to which partner they are bringing in. The partner has to have the right core competency in or niche specialities that they can bring in. But it's also very critical that you can leverage them and reach out to new stakeholders. They sometimes already have a foot in the door. So tap into them. I have brought in partners. We ran a motion at Microsoft called Partner Days. I would bring in a partner and we would all sit together in a room. In the first 1 hour, we would understand what their battle card is, what is their core competency, and then we would go into breakout sessions and just think of opportunities, and do some heat mapping based on account penetration and see where there is white space opportunity that we can tap into. And we would always come up with tangible opportunities that we are chasing together. So together we can scale, and I think that's the value that partners bring in. I also ran a motion called C-suite roundtables. I've talked about it on LinkedIn, so I can share with you that that's another way to bring in customer stakeholders in a virtual setting and bring in a partner that can lead with envisioning workshops or building the MVP or proposing a POC or even just doing discovery together and targeting the low hanging fruits, because that is good to get us started, right? You can start small and then scale big, and your use cases should be such that they should build one on top of each other. Like, oftentimes CIOs or CEOs are afraid to even get started with their cloud migration efforts, for example, or any new digital transformation initiative they're thinking of. So I think the important part there is just start small and build on those use cases. And partners are great because they bring in the right competency to do so.
I've never worked with a partner. I'm a salesperson or I'm a sales leader listening to this. I've never worked with a partner. Our company is small. We're just starting to, expand. How do you go about finding a partner, and what kind of value would you offer to that partner? Why would somebody even want a partner? So let's give an example. Let's say I don't know, I sell a CRM. So how would I go about finding partners for that type of a business?
So we're very lucky at Microsoft. We actually have a very robust partner organization, and we have partner development managers. So they help us a lot. They are our go-to people. We can, if we are in doubt that hey, we have this cloud migration we are trying to do, or we have the CRM deployment that we are trying to do. Mostly partners come in with deployment and adoption services. Products can be sold by the company, but how do you deploy those products? How do you help with implementation services? And there are lots of known partners out there, SI, system integrators, and ISVs that you could work with. But in bigger companies, I think you have a partner development organization
Sure.
that helps you identify partners with core competencies. But let's say you are working for a smaller organization. Your first, I would say, method of going about this madness is ask your customer. Sometimes customers are already working with a few partners who they favor, and they're comfortable working with those niche partners. They might say, hey, this partner is already working with this workload. Maybe see if they can work with us and partner with your organization on a certain deployment. So that is your first starting point. Maybe just ask the customer, and they will be able to share their partner footprint with you. And then I think events helped me a lot. When I was working for smaller companies, I would go for these industry events and professional forums where I would run into partners who would share with me what their battle card was, or how they bring differentiation compared to their peers or their competition. I think that helped me a lot, educating myself on what these partners can do. I brought in some When I was working for smaller companies. I brought in those partners to my customers and to my org, to my senior leaders, stating that, hey, these partners can actually help us go to market together and drive deployment faster.
Did you give that? Was it more of you scratch my back, I scratch your back? Like, if we help them with a project that they're working on, so that they can complete that, they obviously get some money from that. But is it more like referral based? Like, hey, here are some clients that we've serviced. I'm going to give you an introduction, and then you introduce me some of your clients. Is it more of that when you did the smaller companies?
When I did it with the smaller company, it doesn't happen for bigger companies like
No.
Microsoft and IBM and all. But when I was working for smaller companies, yes, referrals and networking does go a very long way, because when we have a satisfied customer, we can repeat that win. We can take the
Over and
same
over.
partner to other customers as well. And if our product is doing really great, then the partner also feels confident introducing us to some of their leads. So meeting them at industry events, professional associations, association events really helped me, and I did bring many of them into my deals.
Love it. I want to touch base on on another area. You talked a lot about prospecting. Take a few minutes there. How did you help your team triple their sales pipeline with prospecting? What did you do that was unique?
I'll talk about three things here. One is, of course, targeted research and networking. That's very important. I've seen that great sellers, they invest a lot in conducting targeted research, and big companies have resources like Databook, Finlistics. Please tap into those to identify your potential prospects. That's my coaching to all sellers, because you have to focus on understanding your target market, your industry trends, the compete scenario, um, and what it's very important to understand the customer's business, but also the customer's customer, how they go to market, how do they sell their products and services to their customers. That deep understanding often people miss, and I think that's very important when you are framing your approach and thinking of your big bets. Networking, as I just mentioned, is a very powerful prospecting technique. You have to shamelessly network, you have to seek referrals from your satisfied customers and industry contacts, and that helps you go a long way. Multi-channel prospecting is something that I always encourage my sellers to do, and that would be use social media, use LinkedIn, use Twitter. A lot of leaders at these accounts are actually posting stuff about something, an initiative they're launching or some product they're releasing. So you can actually use that as a trigger for a meaningful conversation, right? So utilizing a mix of channels is very important to reach out to your prospects, and then continuous follow up. Once you've made that initial connection, it's very important to keep it going, right? Importance of staying top of mind with these customers. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's very important to keep, you know, that touch point going, a regular cadence, if I may say.
Love this. Love this idea. The multi-channel idea. Of watching social, being diligent of that. I think is an important one, and I think people sleep on that a lot, because here's the thing: when I get an email from a salesperson, for me, I talked about this on other podcasts. I look at, is this relevant to me? How much is that relevant to
Yes.
me? And if it's not, then I'm like, it's a waste for their time. And even though it's easy for them to just pull a list in a database and just blast out an email to me because I
Yeah.
fall in an ICP, the key though that's going to make me respond to that is going to be, how is that relevant? And I'm very vocal on my podcast. I'm very vocal on other podcasts. I'm very visible. I share content like you're saying on social. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Gram. On LinkedIn. Definitely. There's got to be a way that you can find an approach that's relevant to what you are doing, to what you're offering, a problem that I might be facing. So I'll give you an example. I got a call by a company. They were saying that I was on. I think it's one of the dumbest approaches, by the way. Your file came across my desk. A colleague gave you my file, and I know it was a lie because they're just a list that they were going down,
Mhm.
and it wasn't like. I mean, if they did 2 seconds of research and just looked at YouTube, listen, we looked at Instagram and saw that I was trying to expand my organization. Donald, hey, I saw that you're trying to expand your organization, but growing a little bit. I don't know if you have a challenge with funding to be able to do so, access to capital. I have a way that we've helped other businesses like yours access capital to 3 5x their company. Would you be open to hearing what we did with them? Of course, at that point, I might give you a little bit more ear because you saw something that I posted on LinkedIn specifically around a growing organization. You know what I mean? But they don't want to do that. They just want to make the quick call. And
Yeah.
you get, anyways, I
No, I
love your
think the
thoughts. I love
outreach
your
has to
thoughts.
the outreach has to be personalized.
Yeah.
That's very important, rather than a generic, a mass outreach technique or a mass email to a stakeholder who wouldn't even care about it. It's very important to tailor your messaging, and
Yes.
great sellers do that. They take the time to research an individual prospect and craft a personalized message that demonstrates their understanding of that particular person's or stakeholders or organizations specific challenges. And that's very important. I think that's your that personalized tailored message is very important. You're right.
Oh, so good. I mean, we can go on for days here on all these different topics, but there's so much that you've shared with us on this episode that can help us to 3x our pipeline. Clearly, it's worked for you and your team over the years, and I know it could definitely work for our folks here. If there's one major takeaway you want somebody listening to this episode to walk away with, what's that one major piece of advice?
I want to, uh, you know, send a message out to salespeople that it's very important. Salespeople have extraordinary communication skills. Most of them do. That's why they're in sales, right? And relationship building is a key aspect. But what they don't understand is keen listening and leading with empathy is what helps you convert a lead into a deal.
Mm.
And you have to stay engaged throughout the customer's sales cycle, the journey of the sales cycle. You can't just sell the deal and then disappear. It hurts your credibility, it hurts trust with the customer, and you will never get another win or another deal with them. It's you will lose a customer that could have been a repeat buyer. So keen listening and leading with empathy is something that every salesperson should follow.
Love it. If folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
I'm on LinkedIn, and they can reach me out on LinkedIn for sure.
And you've kind of done. You don't only do selling, as you can see behind you there. You kind of have some other types of awards as well. So,
I have done a lot of pageantry. I'm on the boards for non-profits. I keep myself busy. I love giving back to the community. I did pageantry because it gave me a platform to talk about my causes. So I love to make a difference in people's lives. For me, success is not about the money you make. It's about touching people's lives in a positive way. So yeah. So the awards you see at the back are just my um, a little bit I've done for the community and contributed in small ways, just making a small difference in the world around me.
well, you keep on doing amazing things. Thank you so much for helping us out and for helping your team and for sharing some of your magic with us. And wish you great success in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Donald. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Same to you. Hey, that was Radhika. Go ahead and connect with her on LinkedIn. Tell her you heard her here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And I love the idea, especially stuff when it comes around like, just, prospecting a little bit more, being more effective with that. The partner idea. It's like, being smarter. And I love where she was doing how she was doing the networking and trying unique ways with her when she was working in some of the SMBs. And if you're working in an enterprise level organization, you got to take advantage of those partners, man. There's so many different ways. And we don't have to beat ourselves in the ground just pounding, making cold calls all the time. I'm no hater on cold calls. I love it. We just want to make sure you're working smarter. If you found this podcast and this episode beneficial today, just go ahead and drop me a message on LinkedIn or Insta or TikTok. Just say Donald. Love connected. I love the episode today. You can find me Donald C. Kelly. Again, Donald C. Kelly. We have a program that's helping sales professional build quality sales pipeline, though. It's called our LinkedIn prospecting course, bro. It's amazing. And the reason why, because we promise you we're going to help you to generate at least three to five appointments per week without spamming using LinkedIn. And I'd love to show you how that can work. Find more information below. Check out Radhika. Tell her you heard her here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And as always, I want you to build stronger pipeline. I want you to close a higher percentage of those deals, and I want you to go out and raise your level of thinking and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.